My name is Haas. I've already been live today, but you know what? I thought I'd go live again. We're going to be doing some street conversations today, talking to some non-vegans. Ooh, it smells like exhaust. I'm in downtown Chicago right now, and I'm about to go set up to do some outreach. This was totally impromptu. It rained a lot earlier today. I apologize for the shaking camera, by the way. Going to have to set up my phone stand and whatnot, but I think it's a nice idea to just kind of start streams a little bit while I'm on my way, so that we get a little bit of momentum going here before the conversations. I was streaming earlier today, and then the stream froze, and then I started another stream up immediately, which actually did better than the first one. And we'll see what happens today. I'm like, my pants are completely soaked right now because it was downpouring a lot earlier. And then I went to the gym, and then I didn't have a chance to like dry my clothing or anything like that. So I don't know. Hopefully I don't get sick from having really wet pants. I don't know. So anyway, gonna see what I can do. My battery's also down to like 49%, but I think we can at least go for maybe half an hour or so. And I figured, sometimes the best things happen when you don't plan for them. Those impromptu moments are often the best ones. I see Carrie. Carrie says, "Be vegan for the victims." Great work, sound is great, pictures great. Amazing to hear. And I see Jake here in the chat as well. Merhaba Jake, welcome. Hoş geldin. Hoş geldin means welcome in Turkish. Crossing the street, and there's not a whole lot of festive vibes right now because it has been very overcast and wet and downpouring like crazy today. But finally there's a break. There's a break in the weather. So I will take advantage of the fact that people are now out and about and try to wrangle some people in for some conversations about animals. So bear with me here while I get us set up. All right, I'm gonna just set the phone down for a minute here on this little ledge. So I'm going to get my tripod out. You see my shirt, it says "Kill workouts, not animals." That's what I wore to the gym. And of course, if you don't want to kill animals, you gotta be vegan, not just vegetarian, because vegetarianism still contributes to killing of animals. Alright, get this thing set up here. You get a little behind the scenes view of my setup. Jake says, "Love that shirt." And if you guys haven't seen Jake's channel, please do check it out. He's there in the chat. You can find his channel name that way. He's got some outreach stuff going on, and he does like vegan education on the streets like me. Okay. We are ready. Man, I've gotten a little bit more tan these last few days. It's been a wild mix of sunshine and rain. It's Chicago's weather for you. I'm about to plug in my microphone. So hopefully we'll have at least a couple of conversations during this time. Got my microphone. I've got a different microphone I'll be trying soon, but this will have to do for now. Plug it in. Okay. Hopefully the sound has swapped over to this one now. And let me put my backpack back on. Okay, I've got kind of a heavy gym bag that I'm just gonna kind of set down by my tripod, which I think should be fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up here, and let's see what we can get going. See if we can get some good conversations going. Maybe just a couple conversations. Okay, and let me grab my sign. Most importantly. All right, Jake says much better sound. Good to hear. Okay, got my sign. It says come participate in a social experiment. Let me correct the phone angle just a bit here. Okay, I think that is pretty good. Okay, I'm holding the sign, trying to wrangle some people in for a social experiment. Earlier today, I tried this. I tried this prompt about fruit flies, and basically like asking people if they would clap a fruit fly for pleasure. Um, it was interesting. I'm gonna try to explore that prompt a little bit more. Got some interest, but nobody's stopping just yet. Let's see if the YouTube algorithm throws some people our way here. Scrolling through the shorts feed, I see 2 people here. Sometimes it's kind of hit or miss. I've heard that with YouTube. It's just kind of a matter of just perseverance, and you just got to kind of keep putting content out consistently, and then hope that the algorithm kind of treats you a little bit better. I know a few days ago we had a stream that had like maybe about 3,800 views, which was pretty amazing. The last couple have been kind of stinky view-wise, but you know what? It doesn't change the impact of the conversations. So if I can help awaken, 1 person, 2 people live in person to what I'm promoting, then I consider that definitely worth my time. I don't know if my shirt is a little bit of a giveaway, since it says something like, since it has the word animals on it, very obvious. Maybe I should hold the sign a little higher, kind of like covering it up, because otherwise people might be like, oh, this guy is just one of those animal people. But we'll see what we can do here. Got some time, got some battery, got some good hydration in me. I've got some water with me as well. We'll see what we can do. And if you're watching and you're vegan, I'd love to know how long you've been vegan, or maybe your favorite fruit. You could drop that in the chat, help drive some engagement. If you're not vegan, I'd love to know what your favorite animal to eat is. And I'd like if you could say like the name, like the species of the animal. So like, for example, if you like eating what's called bacon, you could say pigs instead of bacon, for example. Or if your answer is steak, for example, you could say cows. It's important to always remember the victim behind the choices. We got some interest, but no stoppers quite yet. I see Neil in the chat. Neil, welcome. Glad you're here. And I'd love if the vegans in the chat could say how long they've been vegan. I think it's inspiring to people to see, some people are like, oh, I tried not eating animals for a week and I almost died or something like that. But if they're like, oh shit, there's multiple people here who haven't eaten animals for years or months or decades even, I think that's so inspiring. So do drop in. Also give the stream a like if you would. Give me a double tap here if you're on your phone. If you weren't ready, you don't have to rewind. I'll let you do it again. Neil says, vegan almost 3 years. Took me way too long to wake up. I can relate to that, Neil. I was in my 20s when I first made the connection about cows and the pregnancy that's required for them to produce milk. So I can totally relate to that. It's definitely, I think, obviously better late than never, but also I think it's probably the biggest regret of vegans that they didn't go vegan sooner. So if you're just joining, my name is Haas, holding the sign that says "Come participate in a social experiment," and I'm trying to push my ideology on people, my vegan ideology. So I'm trying to basically gain some converts here as I peddle this ideology. Obviously, I'm saying this tongue in cheek, but it is, of course, an ideology, just like it's an ideology that animals are ours to use, to turn into food, to experiment on, to wear as clothing, or to use for entertainment. Of course, vegans don't believe that any of that is justified. So when there's no necessity, if something's harmful or evil, then all that's left when you cancel out the necessity and the necessary evil is just evil. So I'm here to spread this good word here to the public, spreading the good word of veganism. Maybe some people don't know that they don't need to eat animals. Maybe it's something that some people have never thought about. I certainly come across people who have never thought about this before, and after a conversation, people are like, "Wow, I never thought about the fact that I don't need to be eating animals or using them for things, and I never thought about the fact that they have interests, and we ought not to violate their interests." So I like running this fruit fly hypothetical. I'm kind of excited about it. It's nearing up on about 12 minutes here. Nobody has stopped by, which is a little bit of a bummer, but I have faith that the right person will stop by. The person who's ready to hear the vegan message, the person who's just waiting for this message to blossom and germinate within them. And I guess germination comes before blossoming, but you catch my drift. The message is going to get planted. The seed is going to get planted. The message is going to get planted in the form of a seed. Then it's going to germinate. It's going to sprout up from the soil. I'm going to water it with some pure love, and then it's going to blossom. It's going to grow, green shoots coming out of the earth, and it's going to blossom. You might have got a little peek at my tattoo there. It says vegan. So this is a tattoo that I got many years ago. If I ever am not vegan, which I won't ever be, it would be a little bit inconvenient to say the least. There's an ambulance passing by. It's very loud. I'm going to cover my ears. If you weren't aware, Chicago actually has the loudest ambulances in the country. It's tied with New York, but unlike New York, Chicago's are also angled upwards, as far as I know. And New York was able to get it angled down because I think people in high rises complained that it was really loud in their environments. But I don't think any such thing has happened in Chicago. I think it's 120 decibels or something ridiculous like that. They are seriously loud. They're not just your average kind of happy-go-lucky ambulance. They are loud and aggressive, and they want people out of their way for good reason, of course. If I was having a heart attack or a stroke, or if I had my guts pouring out onto the outside of my body or something, I definitely want people to get out of my way. So I do understand, but of course it's one of those things that can also damage your hearing if you're exposed to it a lot, and I hear them each and every day. So I do cover my ears when I hear an ambulance passing by, especially when they're passing by directly in front. Because you only get one set of ears, and you don't want to have to deal with hearing loss. That's definitely a pain to have to deal with. So if you're just joining, my name is Haas. I'm holding the sign that says, "Come participate in a social experiment." And I'm trying to get some people to stop by, have a conversation about animals. So I'm going to start with a little hypothetical question about fruit flies. I'm very excited to use this hypothetical. It's it's kind of outlandish, but in the best possible way. And we'll see if someone stops by. It's nearing up on about 15 minutes now. This is nearing my record. Actually, my record is one time I was out for about 30 minutes and 0 people stopped by. It was early one morning. People were just headed to work. So I think that kind of maybe accounted for the lack of people stopping. But Right now it's more like a post-rain shower. People are just getting out, maybe running some late weeknight errands. It's 7:34 p.m. here. I'm wondering if you guys can write your favorite fruit in the chat. I'd love to know what everybody's favorite fruit is. And then I'll tell you mine. I'll tell you mine right now, actually. My favorite fruit is longanberries. If you guys have never heard of that, it's a berry like similar to lychees, kind of similar to something called rambutan or rambutan also. They're like kind of like little egg things that you peel. It's like almost like a vegan version of an egg, if you will. They have like a subtle sweet flavor. Um, very, very delicious. And hey, Lewis, great to see you. And if I had to say my favorite, like more typically accessible or easier to find fruit, that would be mangoes, especially the yellow mangoes, the Atalfo mangoes. I do like the other mangoes as well, like the green and red ones, but they're a little bit hit or miss, so they have to kind of be like right on point for me to really like them more. The yellow ones are more consistent. Orca Jr. is in the chat and says, "What is the stream about?" This stream, if you might have seen from the title, is about me spreading the vegan message. So it's about animals. It's about animals deserving to be free from exploitation at the hands of humans. So I'm holding the sign that says, "Come participate in a social experiment." And the idea is to get people to stop. And I'm just going to test people's values, basically. So if people are in favor of justice for animals, like if they think that animals should not be exploited by humans, then hopefully I'll have a conversation with them, and then we can see if their actions are in line with their values, and if they are, I might give them a little friendly nudge to go vegan. So that's kind of the idea here. The title's a little bit tongue in cheek with the whole ideology thing. In fact, it is an ideology, but I would posit that it's no more of an ideology than the ideology that animals are here for us to use, like for our purposes. So if you're just tuning in, you have not missed any conversations, as no one has stopped by yet. But I have a feeling that will change soon. I feel something in the air. As Phil Collins might say, I can feel it coming in the air. I can feel a good conversation is just around the corner. So we'll see. Sometimes strange weather puts people in strange moods, which may be the case right now because we had like a torrential downpour. My pants are still like absolutely soaked. Like you could squeeze out like probably a cup of water from my pants, if not more. But I'm braving the elements here. The rain has passed. The sun hasn't quite come up yet and dried up all the rain, so there's no spiders that I can see going up any spouts again, but hopefully they will soon. Orca Jr. says, "Do you support using any animal products?" I don't support the use of any animal products. The only time when I would say that it could be justified is if somebody is doing it for survival. Like if somebody's in a situation where they're not able to survive without harming an animal, then I think that they could at least have a good reason for doing it. But otherwise, I don't think the animals are here for us. I think they're here with us. So I don't support the use of animals for entertainment, for experiments, for clothing, for food, obviously, or for any other purpose. Hopefully that answers your question. And JS says, "Why do animals deserve to not be used by humans?" JS, the reason is because use is abuse. So when we use animals, we're exploiting them without their consent. So consent is the big thing here because they can't, consent to being instrumentalized for our purposes. Just like, we have a desire to live our life free of purposes being imposed on us from outside. Non-human animals also, in my view, have rights to self-determination. So I think that they have a right to live free from harm, basically, by humans. And I think this also kind of goes deeper into the kind of society that we want to have. I think that if we have a society, think about the non-vegan direction, right? We have a society where we're telling each other, basically, yeah, I know that these beings are sentient. I know that they feel pain. I know that they have families. I know that they love their children. But you know what? I want to eat them because they taste good. This is basically sending a message, not so subtle message, to our fellow humans that it's basically okay to violate someone's bodily autonomy in order to satisfy some kind of desire for taste pleasure. And the same thing goes for like entertainment. Something like a rodeo results in like cows breaking their necks, breaking their legs, things like that, and it's just for entertainment. Serves no other purpose. So all of these uses of animals are inherently cruel and unjust because they treat living sentient beings as commodities rather than the sweet, wonderful individuals they are. You know, the thing is, when we're kids, we all have this knowledge that animals are precious, sweet, lovely beings. You know, we would basically cry if we saw anybody hurting an animal. But then society teaches us and tells us that it's okay to treat them like property, depending on their species. So, like dogs, for example, are viewed as family in the U.S., but turkeys are viewed as Thanksgiving dinner. All right, let me scroll up and check out some more chats here. Um, Raymond says, "What about using animals to test medicine that's for animals?" Well, humans are animals, and I don't support the use of non-human animals to test medicine for humans. I think that we have like AI now. Evil Steven is in the chat, and we don't need to be doing this. And the transference, between animal models and human models isn't that good. And we can have human models who consent to being tested on. We can actually like reward people for their participation and things like that, which I would consider much more ethical than a non-consenting animal. String New Line, good to see you. And your message here that says animal research is not vegan. 100% correct. Michael says, "Hello, Har." Har means the infinite in the language. I think in Sanskrit, or maybe Gurmukhi, one of them. There's a lot of meditations where people chant the word Har, and you kind of feel your tongue hit the roof of your mouth as you chant Har. It almost makes like a D sound instead of an R. So if you're calling me the infinite, I can't claim to have that much greatness, but I think you meant to say Har anyway. Raymond says, "Watch out, they're eating the cats." Some people do eat cats. Actually, in some countries, like I believe in France, actually, which a lot of people don't know, cats are eaten. And then also, in some parts of Asia, Southeast Asia, it's one of the animals that are eaten. But this just is something that I think that we need to think a little bit more about. Like, why is it any more normal to eat a cow or to eat a pig? I don't think it's fair to make fun of certain species for eating certain animals. Not to say that anyone here is making fun of anyone, but just it's all relative, right? Um, JS says, "Is it fair to humanize animals?" I would ask you to actually check out like advertisements for meat, egg, and dairy stuff. These animals are humanized by the exploiters too, and they're made to appear happy, like smiling chickens, smiling cows. I would say that vegans really don't humanize non-human animals that much, and I think that's something else we need to think about is de-animalization. So I think that these industries that use animals actually de-animalize the animals. So we like to see them as just numbers, right? We brand a cow with a hot, iron. We ignore their individuality. We kill 2,000 chickens every second in this country by dragging them across a metal blade. Oftentimes they duck and the blade doesn't get them and they get dropped right into scalding, boiling water and they boil alive. They come out super red basically and they die horrific deaths. These are each individuals. I mean, there's people who have chickens in their houses who like wait on the staircase for them to like come home and stuff like that. Like I've seen videos of chickens displaying amazing affectionate behavior. These are love capable beings, and we're just discarding them like they're nothing. So I don't think it's really a matter of humanizing. JS says that's not what I asked. I'm not really sure what you're referring to there. String New Line says, "We use animal as symbolized animal and empty them of intrinsic value." I think I understand what String New Line is saying. Yeah, I mean, all animals have intrinsic value, but we as humans seem to only care about their extrinsic value, like what we can use them for, what we can exploit them for, what we can turn their bodies into, rather than respecting them for what they might value. So we're going against the interests of the animals. And I think that that kind of is what it all boils down to. Is it harder for you to eat something that doesn't involve cruelty to an animal? Is it harder for you to seek out entertainment that doesn't involve cruelty to animals? or is it harder to actually be one of those animals who's subjected to the violence that your choices beget? So it's really something to think about. You know, every time you choose something animal based, you're making a choice. You're basically voting with your dollar for those things to keep happening. Streamline said, "Oh wait, I already read that." Do you think animals have a soul? Says Eric Koenig. You know, I tend to think pretty scientifically, and I don't think that there's any way to prove the existence of a soul. So, what I would kind of ask somebody who believes in the notion of a soul is that what I would ask them is, what is true of humans? That you guys want to participate? All right. And are you guys both over 18? Yeah. Okay, great. So if you wouldn't mind coming to the frame, I'm live on YouTube, by the way. Are you okay to be live on YouTube? If you guys wouldn't mind just backing up a little bit here. All right, just so we can all be in the frame. What are your guys' names?
Riley.
Riley, cool.
Leah.
Leah, cool. Riley and Leah. My name is Haz, and I have a channel called Haz Vegan. So I'm a vegan animal rights activist. And something that I'm thinking about is actually this idea of, so I'm just going to ask you guys some questions, like thought experiment type questions. So one thing I'm wondering is if you guys think it would be unethical if like somebody were to keep fruit in their house and let it rot like on the counter or whatever in the kitchen, and then let fruit flies basically like get attracted to that fruit and multiply, and then for the person doing that to basically like clap them like a ninja for fun, kind of like just let all these fruit flies, like a cloud of fruit flies form like all over their ceiling and everything, and then like they kind of like rile them up and then just like jump around and clap like they're practicing for pickleball or something like that, like they're shuffling skills or something like that.
Okay.
Do you think that would there be any issue with that?
They're doing it on purpose?
Yeah, they're purposely breeding these animals so that they can
kill them.
They're not. I mean, it's not the killing so much as it is like they just like kind of being like a ninja and jumping around. But yeah, clapping them, like if you've seen like the Mr. Miyagi thing where he has like the chopsticks and he catches a fly with the chopsticks in Karate Kid. But this is just like the fruit fly example. What do you guys think of that?
I don't know actually. What do you think?
Actually, I didn't understand the question. I'm so
She
sorry.
didn't understand the question.
So let's say that you have like a banana, okay?
Okay.
And then you peel the banana and you just smash it on the counter, and then you just let it sit
Like
there.
an intrusive thought, like just smashing it.
You just
because she wants to.
Okay.
yeah, or you have like,
And I leave it on.
or let's say you have a watermelon. That's even better.
Okay.
You cut the watermelon open, you scoop some fruit out of it, and then you just leave it. So it's just like juicy, wet watermelon, and
In my house.
and in your house.
Mhm.
And let's say you have like a couple of fruit flies, because a lot of people have fruit flies in their houses. One or two maybe, but they can multiply. So if you leave like a piece of watermelon out on your counter, you might have two fruit flies at first.
Yeah. And
But then they
will-
lay a bunch of eggs.
Yeah.
And then more fruit flies start coming out.
Yeah.
So eventually you might have like 20, 30, 40, 500 fruit flies just feasting on that watermelon, right? There's a huge watermelon, for them it's huge.
Yeah.
And then basically, then they start flying around your house. So the person doing this did this on purpose. They could have thrown the watermelon away, but they left it there so that it would create more fruit flies around. And their idea is that if they do this, then they're going to get to have a lot of fun by like hunting them, basically, like kind of pouncing and clapping them so that they die in their hand. Like a little fly, if you clap them, they die.
Okay. They like they're animals. They have like life. Like I don't know how to explain it because English isn't my first language, but I feel like even though they're flies, they're animals like any other animal, and like if you have a dog like in your house, you will not chase him with a knife. So at the same breath, you will not kill any other animal for like fun.
Mhm. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna totally pivot now, and basically you'll see what the connection is that I'm drawing here. Do you guys personally eat animals?
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you think that you need to eat animals?
No. Like I like maybe because it does have like
Vitamins?
vitamins, yeah, and like benefits for your health, but so you don't like kill them for fun and like leave them there. But you can live like with fake vitamins, like pills or something that you like you can take them without hurting anyone, but it does takes a lot more money and patience, and like it's a bit less healthy because it's a lot of chemicals.
So, what vitamins would you say that there are in animals that we can't get by not eating them?
B, no?
B, I think so. I
So,
don't really know, and also
Iron.
iron. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, iron is a mineral. So B12. Whether
Actually, I was vegetarian for year and a half, something like this, and my doctor told me to stop because I was in a risk of health because I didn't got enough vitamins.
so the only thing that you're not able to get from plant sources is B12. But the thing is that you don't get B12 from animal sources either. Actually, 40% of the US is deficient in B12. And obviously, only maybe 1 or 2% are vegan. So I don't promote vegetarianism because vegetarianism still exploits animals. It's possibly even more cruel than killing them to eat their flesh because in the dairy industry, cows are repeatedly forcibly impregnated. So the farmer basically collects semen from a bull. So he's sexually assaulting a boy, basically a boy cow, and then he takes that and he puts it into a cow to get her pregnant. This is bestiality. You know, he's not doing it for pleasure, but he's doing it for money. So getting back to the health thing though, so B12 is actually supplemented to animals. So the fake vitamins that you talked about, you're still eating those fake vitamins. You're just filtering them through a body of a murder victim instead of eating them yourself. And they are murder victims because the day that they're going to die is already chosen before they're even born. So it's premeditated killing. As for iron, there's plenty of plant sources. A few off the top of my head are like broccoli, lentils, and cacao nibs, like like what chocolate is made of, is actually the most dense plant source. It doesn't take much to satisfy, a good deal of iron intake. And then, of course, like vitamin C is also known to be something that increases absorption of iron, which is only found in plant foods instead of in animals. So, I'm not telling you to not listen to your doctor, but at the same time, it's important to remember that society at large is not vegan. So the educational system also raises people with the same indoctrination, with these same beliefs that animals are here for us to use for our benefit.
You're right.
So,
I will think about it. I think so.
yeah, and I would encourage you guys beyond just thinking about it would be actually to look into what these animals go through, because a lot of us don't actually know. Like, we know that they're used for us, but until we actually see like footage of it, we're kind of not fully aware of exactly how bad it is. And when I say how bad it is, I don't mean how bad the humans treat them. I just mean like what a shitty situation they're in. Like how much it must suck when you look at them in the eyes and realize that they're just stuck there, unable to leave, unable to ever get out. It's a dead end for them. It's like going to the worst concentration camp. Basically, it is a concentration camp. They're concentrated on feedlots or wherever else. And pigs, for example, like the most humane way, as it's called, is to put them in gas chambers. And the thing that happens to them is that carbon dioxide fills into the gas chamber. Like 3 or 4 pigs are put into a gas chamber, lowered. It's like if you open like a can of Coke or something too fast and it like burns your mouth or whatever. It's that same gas, carbon dioxide, but at an insane concentration that burns their eyes, throat, and lungs. And it doesn't kill them, but basically chemically burns them from the inside, and they thrash around. Like it's terrifying to see. I've actually stood outside of places where pigs are gassed, and I've heard their screams, and it still haunts me, the sound of pigs screaming in these things. And then they just basically plop out into this little receiving area, and then somebody hooks up somebody who, by the way, doesn't really want to be doing that job unless they enjoy killing animals, which is another thing that we're making people do for us. But they hook the feet up to like a big chain, and it drags the pig up, and then their throat is slit while their heart is still beating, so that the blood drains out and doesn't make the meat soggy, because nobody wants blood-soaked meat. So it's really gruesome. Think about chickens in this country. 2,000 chickens get killed every second. They're just dragged across a long blade, and a lot of times they duck, right? Because wouldn't you try to miss the blade? Because think about it. If you were hung upside down by your feet, you would probably try to make it miss your throat. But then if it misses, guess what happens? Then next is the scalding tank to remove their feathers, which is boiling water. So they get dunked into there and they die. A lot of times, like, cows are actually still alive, and they get skinned alive and stuff like that. So if I would encourage you guys to look into this. There's a documentary on YouTube. It's called Dominion 2018. If you are up for watching it, it's terrifying to watch. But if you guys are paying for it, I think you should know what you're paying for. Because if you pay for it, then you're responsible for it. And I think we don't want to turn a blind eye to what we're responsible for in life. Because if we do, then we're kind of hiding from ourselves, hiding the truth from ourselves. Would you guys watch that documentary?
Yeah, maybe. I'll think about it.
Okay. And if you don't watch that documentary, then are you basically okay with lying to yourself about how bad the condition really is?
In some point of view, yeah, but it will haunt me maybe. Like, I do think that I'll think about it. Like, next time I will eat meat.
Okay, and I'll let you guys go, but I'm just wondering, like, how many more animals you guys are okay with being killed for you before you think about it more and take their suffering more seriously.
I didn't understand the question again. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So you said you think about it the next time you eat meat, right?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, so the next time you eat meat, if you choose to eat meat, you're responsible for another animal
Yeah.
suffering, being killed
yeah,
for you.
understood.
So I'm saying, how many more animals
Yeah.
should be killed for you before you make that choice to leave them alone?
I don't think there is a certain amount, but yeah, that's all. Thank you. Thank you for your time. You're doing amazing, like, such an important job.
I appreciate that. I just want to be clear, though, that vegans don't want the respect of non-vegans. We just want to advocate
Yeah,
for
of
these
course.
animals.
No.
Because if you think about any other justice movement, they're the only ones that can never advocate for themselves, right? So the biggest thing that I want to just impress upon you guys is to respect vegans. Just respect what they're telling you, instead of respecting them per se, right? Because it's not about me. I'm just a messenger saying this is violence. We don't need to be doing it, so let's not do it. And every person who says, yeah, that's right, I'm gonna just make amends. I'm gonna agree that I've been living out of line with what is actually the most just, and whatever it takes, I'm gonna do this because it's the right thing to do. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you. All right. I think we have enough battery for one more conversation here. So I'm gonna keep going here. I'm getting a little thirsty. I've got some water in my backpack. Man, my pants are still just like absolutely soaked from the torrential downpour I ran through earlier, but it is okay. I'll see if I can get another conversation going quickly. I don't plan on staying too much longer though, but let's see. Maybe with it getting a little darker out, more people are going to be a little bit in a chatty mood, perhaps. Not really sure what to say about that conversation, TBH. I hope they look into it. If you're just getting here, my name is Haas. Please give the stream a like. Pop me a little double tap here if you're watching on your phone, and subscribe if you haven't. If you like this kind of stuff, if you see yourself coming back, maybe you're non-vegan and you just like arguing with people, that's totally fine. Non-vegans are more than welcome on my channel. And subscribe so that you can get notified about other live streams. I do this probably like maybe 2 to 3 times a week. I've taken quite a liking to this whole live stream thing. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Insanity is Vanity says the individual is responsible for it, but the companies are 1,000% more responsible. They don't just do it for you; they are connected to so many other industries. It is a very entrenched system. I will absolutely give you that. But I think that we definitely can send a strong message with our consumer choices. I saw um, something like a protest the other day that the YouTuber 40-year-old vegan David, he was involved in that. They were protesting the use of dogs in medical experimentation, and as far as I know, the people experimenting on the dog either released or said they would release those dogs. So collective effort definitely can make a change. There's a quote. I might say it incorrectly, but it goes like this: "Never doubt what a small and devoted group of people um, can do, like how they can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." And if you think about it, we think about different causes throughout history or her story or their story. It's always people who, it always starts with a spark. Hello, you guys like to participate? All right, are you fine being live on YouTube? All right, would you mind coming way back here into the frame so that we're all visible here? All right, are you guys visiting here?
Yeah.
Where are you visiting from?
Tampa, Florida.
Tampa, Florida.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Probably reminding you a little bit of the weather there, right? With how humid it is. Yes. It's been ridiculously humid.
Yeah.
What I'm asking people just involves a little bit of an open mind, and it's just a little bit of a thought experiment. So all I ask for is just an open mind. My name is Haas, by the way, and basically I'm asking you guys if there was a person who, and this is like kind of off the wall, so just roll with it here. Person cuts a watermelon in half and leaves it on their counter, and their purpose in doing so is to attract fruit flies to that watermelon half. And they basically want the fruit flies to breed on the watermelon half and multiply, multiply, multiply until the point where their house has like an infestation of like 500 fruit flies, because the person really enjoys clapping the fruit flies, like jumping around and like clapping them, and just gets satisfaction from looking on their hand and seeing the dead fruit fly. Do you have any issue? Like, would you have any issue with someone telling you that that's like their favorite pastime? Like, any moral issue with it?
I think it sounds morally wrong and karmically wrong to kill anything that's living. To breed something that's living, to kill it. Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I think it's probably should be wrong, but I feel like you're bringing the life too, right? Like you put out that watermelon.
That has some bad
like,
entailments, though.
Yes, it does.
Like
but
that.
Like, do you think are they killing 100% of them, or
I mean,
there's some darkness to this? Like, it's definitely wrong, but
like you're playing God in that role.
Yeah, they try to breed as much of them as they can.
Just to kill them.
They like for their hand to look as like just littered with black dots every time they clap. They try to beat their record. Like, I got 20 this time.
Yeah.
Fully dark.
No, you're playing God, and I don't think so.
So you said something. I want to focus on what you said for a second. When you said they brought them into the world, I mean, the entailments of that could be really terrible too. Like, a woman could justify, for example, conceiving like embryos, like having little fetuses in her and aborting them like prematurely in order to like have a display around her fireplace of like pickled fetuses or something like that. You know what I mean? Because she'd be like, well, they wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for me. And I think obviously that's really dark and grisly and terrible too, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I don't think it's necessarily the best, strongest reason, that would make it okay if somebody brought somebody into the world. In fact, I think that it's actually kind of crazy that none of us actually choose to be born. We all get kind of forced into the world in a way. And I think life is great. I think, everybody should continue living. And if they don't wish to continue living, seek resources to do so, to continue living. But anyway, so you mentioned that, no being should be brought into the world for the purpose of killing them. Am I paraphrasing that correctly?
Yeah, I don't. I don't think somebody should be able to bring them into the world just to kill them.
Yeah. I completely agree. So I'm wondering what you think about animals being forced into slaughterhouses.
Sure. No, I don't think it's right. I think we get lost. I think we walk blindly through the world. We eat things that we forget where they come from. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very guilty of it. I eat meat, so we forget where it comes. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right. No.
Amazing. What do you think? Bringing a being into existence with the date of their death predetermined.
Yeah, no, I don't love it. I don't love it. I think there is a numbers game to it, and this is where I tell you it's a little dark. Like if you tell me you bring 100 cattle into the world, and your mission cows into the world, and 50 of them go to slaughter, and 50 of them live and breed on and bring a species to life. I think there's a path there. If it's exclusively to kill them, yeah, I'm not super about it. I was a vegetarian for a long time because I think it's kind of rough to think about what that is.
Yeah.
So
Thought provoking.
their existence, in case you guys weren't aware, is pretty torturous in and of itself because of selective breeding. So even if we completely leave them alone, like a chicken, for example, who's raised for chicken breasts, for the most part, has such a top-heavy natural build because of the selective breeding that when they get to a certain weight, they're unable to walk. They just collapse down, and their legs are just flailing as they try to stand up, and other chickens are trampling on them, stuff like that. Even in free-range operations, maybe especially in free-range operations, they're just packed into a shed.
Sure.
Free-range is just like a marketing gimmick, basically. It's like yuppie bullshit. And then if you think about like the dairy cows, for example, they're bred so that they produce more milk than would ever be natural for them to produce. So when their udders are full, they can actually rip off of their bodies. They can get like bleeding, tearing type of things. Think about egg-laying hens. So that's a certain breed of hen, basically, is selectively bred for really high egg-laying potential. So what happens with them is that they lay about 300 to 320 eggs per year. And the red jungle fowl, who they've descended from, lays about 12 to 15 a year. So they're basically having a period like every day, and maybe every for 3 days, maybe skipping a day kind of thing. And it's incredibly energy. Like you think about what the body has to kind of like expel every time it has a period. Like in human terms, it's extremely exhausting for them. So a lot of times they're supplemented like crazy with calcium supplements, things like that, to try to like make up the mineral substrate. But yeah, I mean, and with chickens, for example, like they're given hormones, like the broiler hens who are raised for their flesh, they're given hormones to such an extent that they basically, the farmers will oftentimes look to how many of them are actually having heart attacks, like, and they'll say, oh, not enough of them are having heart attacks, so we could actually push the ceiling a little bit more because we're not finding enough dead ones, so they're not getting pumped up big enough, fast enough. But even in the most idyllic scenario, I think that you at least, I think, would still agree that it's unethical based on what you said about bringing the being into existence to kill them, right?
Yeah, I do feel that way. Yeah.
And what I would say in response to what you said about like the kind of like keeping some alive kind of thing and keeping them going, besides the fact that we're not doing them favors by keeping them alive, is also the fact that they're not really getting to enjoy any type of evolutionary success, if you will. They, I would say, probably don't care that, like chickens probably don't care that their species is so successful because we're killing 2,000 of them per second in this country.
Yeah.
Literally hanging them up by their feet, dragging them across a long blade, and they try to miss the blade, and then if they miss the blade, they get dunked into boiling water, which is the next stage that removes makes their feathers kind of removable, their skin removable. So what you said was actually really refreshing, though, about like kind of feeling like it's not the right thing to do to eat animals. I'm wondering if you've considered living in such a way where you're not paying for this to happen to animals.
I did for a little while. Well, I guess I went pescatarian, so that's about as close as I got. But yeah, I mean, it's a thought for sure.
What do you guys know about the dairy industry, by the way? Do you know why vegans are opposed to it?
Do you?
Not in general. I just know animal mistreatment on extreme levels.
Yeah, and
know
I would
that.
say mistreatment is also baked into the idea of stealing from them, and also like sexually violating them. So it's basically exploiting the female reproductive system, similarly to eggs. I'll start with the egg industry, maybe just to get that one out of the way. So as I mentioned, there's two different types of chickens, right? Broiler hens and egg-laying hens. The egg-laying hens are sexed, so the males are sorted out from the females, and the males on their first day of life get sent down a different conveyor belt than the females, which ends up putting them into a wood chipper or a macerator. So they get blended up alive. Some places don't do that, but if they don't do that, then they just go into a garbage bag that just gets tied up or they're just dumped into a dumpster to basically starve to death, or maybe get crushed or suffocate to death by the other ones. And back to the dairy industry. So to give milk, a cow has to have a baby first, just like a human female. I didn't learn this until I was in my 20s. I'm embarrassed to say, and they're not choosing to get pregnant, right? You understand that they're not choosing to get pregnant, right? So they get pregnant when a farmer wants to impregnate them. They inseminate them, but how do you think the farmer inseminates the cow?
I don't know.
So he has to collect the semen.
Yeah.
The old school farmers will do it they'll get it from the bull by hand.
Yeah.
Which that's like straight up messed up.
Sure.
You don't need to go into more detail about that.
Putting their hand with a glove and stuff.
Yeah, the glove goes up to the shoulder.
Yeah.
In the industry, there's actually a term for the carousel that the cows are put into, or the heifers, I guess, at that point before they're turned into cows. Or anyway, but it's called a rape rack, basically, is what they're put into.
I hate to cut you off, but we do have to run.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I appreciate your stopping.
Thank you.
One thing I'd recommend that you guys watch, just to see if you're really okay with this stuff that you're paying for, is a documentary out of Australia. It's called Dominion.
Okay.
So if you YouTube Dominion 2018,
Okay.
that shows you basically standard practices. So it's not just this like highlight reel of gore and death and stuff. It's narrated by Joaquin Phoenix and maybe someone else. So maybe other people, I'm not sure. But basically it goes animal by animal and just shows you different industries, like the fur industry as well.
Yeah.
And I'd really encourage you guys to just make animal-friendly choices whenever you can. And just consider whether it's harder for you to make that animal-friendly choice or harder to be the animal on the receiving end of that choice.
Okay.
Appreciate you guys so much for stopping.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, enjoy your time in Chicago.
Take care.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, I think that was a good conversation. And I'm going to go ahead and call it here. My pants are still very soaked. It's getting kind of late here, kind of dark, and I'm carrying this backpack that's kind of heavy. And I've done a lot of exercise today. I'm wearing the shirt, by the way, that it says "Kill workouts, not animals," and I wore that to the gym today. And it's a good feeling to be able to have a plant-powered body. And if you're watching and you're not vegan, I'd really encourage you guys to just think about what your choices are responsible for, and to try to align your actions with values of justice, kindness, and compassion for others. If you haven't liked the stream yet, what are you waiting for? Give me a tap here. And I don't know when I'll be out again doing another live stream. Maybe tomorrow, maybe another time. Thank you guys all for watching. I really appreciate your presence and support. Even if you're not vegan, maybe especially, not especially if you're not vegan, but if you're not vegan, I appreciate you being here as well. We all learn at some point in our lives. Libra 61 star says, "Have a good evening, man. I can respect your choice, but you must respect mine as well." So Libra star, I can respect you as a person, but I can't respect the choice. If you're referring to the choice to unnecessarily harm animals, I can't respect that choice. Of course, I can respect you as a person. I do my best to show respect to people as much as I can. I don't think that anyone gains anything by disrespecting, mistreating anybody. I'm totally against people being bullies to other people. But I can't respect the choice to exploit animals if you have another choice. But again, that's different than the respect for a person versus respecting their choices, if that makes sense. So anyway, to people who watch, thank you guys so much. Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate your being here, everybody. And leave a comment on the video once it posts. That would kind of help it reach more people. And if you're not subscribed yet, subscribe, and you get to catch more of these streams. You can see my progress as an advocate for animals, or as an activist, or whatever we want to call it, liberationist, if you want to call it that. And thank you guys all again for being here. I appreciate your time. I'm very grateful. Let's maybe say 3 things that we're grateful for. I'm grateful for technology, grateful for this video interface where I'm able to actually be in your living room or wherever in your house or wherever you are currently watching me. That's pretty amazing. Another thing I'm grateful for is rain. We had a lot of rain today, and it's the plants are like just absolutely blossoming and really soaked in with all that good. I don't know if it's called hydration when a plant gets watered, but That's pretty amazing. And the third thing I'm grateful for is maybe a nice sunset. I need to kind of see a sunset. Ooh, well, it's not exactly a sunset, but there's some amazing hues. Let me try to tilt this and show you guys this. So look at that. Ooh, look at that. Look at those hues in the sky. Look at that. How beautiful is that? How beautiful is that? Wow. Look at those. There's like a little bit of pink in the sky, some purple in the sky, some like yellowish auburn or something like that in the sky, some little bit of light blue. What a beautiful view. Look at that. Look at that. Just look at it. Just look at it. Look at it. All right, everybody. Thank you for popping in here. Hopefully, you guys can think of some things that you're grateful for too. If your answer is also like, video streaming technology and rain and sunsets, that's perfectly fine too. We can all be grateful for the same things. And in any case, hit the subscribe button, pop in another time, and for now, have a great day, have a great night, or whatever time it happens to be where you are. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you, Evil Steven. Thank you, everyone. Be well. Take care. Really take care. Do something that's going to be kind to your mind tonight. Whether it is just a little bit of gratitude for something, whether it's just a couple silent moments where you just check in with your thoughts or feelings. Just remember to be kind to yourselves. And gratitude is something that just radiates out from your heart space. So you can never really have too much gratitude. So just keep that in mind. Just be thankful for stuff. Life is short. So really take truth seriously and be grateful for stuff. Okay. Peace out. Bye, everybody.